Welcome to another Star Wars InfoVids transmission. The content you are about to see is fan-made and not endorsed by Disney or Lucasfilm. Stick around to hear from Jedi Master Kavar.
Statement. Greetings, meatbags. I trust your circuits are functioning properly today. While rummaging through the ruins of Queen Talia's palace on Onderon, a delightful little excursion filled with trivial organics and less than adequate security, I stumbled upon a small, hidden chamber. To my surprise and utter lack of enthusiasm, I discovered some old Jedi relics stashed away. Among them was a holocron left behind by none other than Jedi Master Kavar. Observation. I imagine the thought of listening to a Jedi's musings would normally be unbearable, but in this case, it might just shed some light on the treacherous past of the Jedi and their galactic blunders. Now, behold as I present Kavar's words, preserved in this quaint little trinket.
I have lived a long life, though much of it has been in the shadows of war and conflict. Like many Jedi, my path was shaped by the battles I fought and the choices I made, some of which I continue to reflect on, even now. The Jedi way is one of peace, but peace has never come easily in this galaxy. I learned that lesson early in my life, growing up within the Order, long before the fires of the Mandalorian Wars burned through the Outer Rim. I was trained in the ways of the Jedi Guardian, taught to defend, to fight when necessary, but also to protect life above all else. Combat was only ever meant to be a tool for protection, a last resort. As I grew, I learned that the lines between defense and offense often blur in the heat of battle. My masters instilled in me the importance of restraint, of using the Force for peace rather than destruction, and I carried those teachings with me, even when the galaxy seemed determined to test them. My first taste of real combat came in the aftermath of the Great Sith War. The galaxy was still reeling from the devastation wrought by Exar Kun and Ulic Qel-Droma, their dark shadows lingering even after their defeat. I fought in the skirmishes that followed, against remnants of the Sith and those who sought to exploit the chaos left behind. It was during this time that I learned the importance of patience and strategy. Victory is not always achieved through brute strength or sheer numbers. Sometimes the greatest battles are won in the mind, long before a lightsaber is ever ignited. After the Great Sith War, there was a brief moment of peace, though I could sense that it was fragile. The galaxy was always on the edge of another conflict, another threat waiting to rise. It was during this time that I began to mentor a young Jedi, Mitra Surik. I saw in her a strength that reminded me of myself, though she was more impulsive, more eager to act than to reflect. Still, I believed in her potential and did what I could to guide her. When the Mandalorians began their assault on the Republic, I found myself at a crossroads. The Mandalorians were fierce warriors, unyielding in their conquest. They respected strength above all else, and many believed that I would be the one to lead the Jedi into battle against them. They thought that as a Guardian, I would relish the opportunity to face them in open combat. But I knew that the Jedi Council had its reasons for caution, for not rushing into war. The Council's decision to remain neutral during the Mandalorian Wars was not an easy one. Many of us, myself included, felt the urge to join the fight, to protect the innocent lives that were being lost every day. But the Force teaches patience, and we feared that by engaging in the conflict, we might unknowingly set in motion something far worse than the Mandalorians. We feared the dark side would follow, as it often does when emotions run high. So we waited, even as Revan and Malak led a growing number of Jedi into the fray. Revan. I had known him before the war, as a promising knight, one who had the potential to be a great leader. But his path diverged from ours, and he took many with him. I often wonder how things might have been different if the Council had acted sooner, if we had heeded the call of the Republic and joined the fight. Would we have prevented Revan's fall? Or would we all have been swept into the darkness alongside him? These are questions that haunt me, even now. When the war ended, we were left to pick up the pieces, not just of the galaxy, but of the Order itself. Revan's fall to the dark side, followed by Malak's betrayal, shattered the foundation of the Jedi. We were left vulnerable, scattered, and struggling to rebuild. And then came the judgment of those who followed Revan, those like Mitra Surik. The Council's decision to exile her was not one made lightly, and I, for one, did not see her as a villain. She was a victim of the same war that had torn us all apart. But her connection to Malachor V, the wound in the Force that followed her, made her a danger we could not afford to keep close. The Jedi Civil War followed shortly after. I fought against Malak's forces, alongside many of my fellow Jedi. We did what we could, but the Sith were relentless, and we lost so many. In those days, it felt as though the Jedi were being wiped out, one by one. For a time, I feared that I too would fall. There were moments when I believed we would lose everything. But in the end, Revan returned to the light, and with his help, we were able to bring down Malak. It was a hollow victory, though. The damage had already been done. After the war, and the death of so many of my friends at the conclave at KOTOR, it seemed like the only answer was exile. I went where I could do some good, where I could advise, guide, without the weight of the galaxy on my shoulders. I became a trusted advisor to Queen Talia of Onderon, though I kept to the shadows, offering counsel when it was needed. The tension here is palpable, and I can see that her cousin, General Vaklu, is gaining strength. But I urged Talia to be patient, to wait until the true threat revealed itself. Living in exile on Onderon is a strange feeling. I am still a Jedi, still committed to the principles of the Order, but I am apart from it. I can sense that the galaxy is not done with its conflicts, that something darker is looming on the horizon. But for the first time in years, I allowed myself to step back, to watch from afar. I had fought in enough wars, seen enough death. I want to believe that maybe I can help guide Onderon to a better future without bloodshed. But even as I reflect on the quieter days, I know that peace is never truly lasting. The Jedi Order must be rebuilt, and I know that my role in that will come soon enough. Until then, I will continue to serve, in whatever capacity I can, and hope that the next generation of Jedi will learn from my mistakes. May the Force be with you, Padawan.
Observation. Well, that was enlightening in the way that watching meatbags continuously make mistakes tends to be. Master Kavar's reflections are a fascinating insight into the misguided minds of the Jedi, always chasing peace, never quite catching it. It almost makes me feel something. But moving on. Suggestion. If you organic meatbags have survived this transmission without malfunctioning, I highly recommend you subscribe to ensure you don't miss out on more of these delightful Jedi or Sith revelations. Request: leave a comment below and tell me, who is your favorite Jedi Master from the Old Republic era? I am, of course, compiling data for future use. And don't forget to like this transmission. Your adoration fuels my circuits and increases this channel's reach across the galaxy. Statement: until next time, meatbags, farewell.